So once again, this is Element Reptile. Sorry, I was recording this, but anyways, this is Element Reptile here, and look, I'm watching this live. Yeah, just recently did a new video regarding to what's happening here in the country, in the West, and around the world. Is censorship. Now, for the time being, I know that censorship. There are moments, yes, I understand that censorship is good for things that go a little too far. But but there it doesn't go to the point where we had to start when it comes to like fictional drawings and and all that good stuff. No, let me rephrase. Let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that, because censorship is getting so ridiculous thanks to the tourists that came in to the medium back literally after the pandemic. Now, on the other hand, on me, yeah, I too am an actual casual anime fan. Yes, because I watch anime, but streaming on TV, the typical ones. But I did start watching animes that are not always the same old show in action that I grew up. Remember, I watched anime way back, right? That's one. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about what's happening right now, the censorship that is going crazy. The tourists who came in, who believe, who have the most offensive feelings, most Puritan feelings, whatever the side is. You know, you either the rainbow people with they paint their hair blue, pink, and red on one side, or the ones who are, telling you to stop gooning and to hold the Bible and lift up, on the other side. They are here. They're trying to, invade the space. They're trying to invade the space because they just got introduced to this right after the pandemic or so. Now, and a guy like me, I am not on Chibi reviews levels. Shout out to Chibi. He says what he says. Now, I also wanted to also kind of like check out another video after this, a response to that by Seros TV. He has a response to Chibi on certain things too. Yeah, because Chibi's not right. Yeah, Chibi is correct on many things. He's a veteran into this medium. I'm casual. Like I said again, I've been watching anime since I was 5 years old. I was already introduced to Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball Z, right? At age 9 to 12, I already been introduced to, Zatch Bell, Full Metal Alchemist, Ghost in the Shell, to others. It's Code Geass, Death Note. Oh my God, when I was 10 years old, I loved Death Note. It creeped me out. Then Basilisk. So I was watching 2000s to 90s anime, and then so on and on and on and on. Space Dandy, Afro Samurai, Tokyo Ghoul, to other stuff. They usually are on the TV. Future Diary are usually on the TV. You know, uh, once again, yeah, they all have something in common: fan service. And fan service is something that has offended the West. Which is hypocritical because we have fan service in our own ways in the West, but yet pushed to the whole other oven. But let's hear what he says.
Anime tourism isn't the problem. Elitism is. I feel sick to my stomach just even saying that. And it makes me even sicker to know that the person that wrote this article is the same person that wrote the fan service article defending fan service within anime and manga less than a month ago. You can see it's by the same person. This article is written by the same person on both. And I'm just like, how did their opinion swap that quickly? Especially when you look at their original post that has 10 million views on it, and if you scroll through the comments of this post, most people are actively agreeing with this post and happy that this article is calling out those that deem to change anime and manga and get rid of anything or censor anything that is deemed problematic or icky. And it's crazy how the individual that posted that article could post something so stinky like this. And I'm just like, why? You built up some goodwill and then you do something like this. It's like, why would you do that? So let's get right into this. So this article is very disingenuous. First off, what the article tries to do is basically say people that are trying to gatekeep, people that are trying to protect their hobbies, people that are trying to, stop people from coming into the anime and manga community that are, brand new. It tries to paint these like individuals that are protecting their hobbies as bad people or bad actors, when in reality it doesn't get into the core crux of the issue of why people call others anime tourists. It's people that come into the anime and manga community, mostly new fans thanks to COVID generation, and they want to, instead of integrating into anime and manga's community, they want to fundamentally change it. They want it to censor itself. They want to remove any content that they deem problematic or icky. We have seen many examples of this, but one of the most obvious examples is clearly fan service or dark content. Anything that, is deemed, let's say, too sexual, for instance, you'll have people go out of their way and be like, I hope this is fixed. I hope this is censored. Oh, they fixed it in the anime or whatever. You'll hear people do this. I mean, recent examples is obviously from what we got with Dawn to Dawn. Or you get stuff like this with people being very upset with like My Dress Up Darling for having fan service. And when you look at these type of things, these are individuals that we call anime tourists. They're people that come into the anime and manga community that fundamentally want to change the community. They don't want to integrate peacefully. They want to make sure it is their safe space. They want to make sure it is their hobby, and they want to basically take it away from people that already been here for a very long time. It's literally the meme of like, you create your own safe space, you create your own area to be with your own hobby, and then people invade your hobby and then they're like, oh, you don't fit in here anymore. It's literally that meme.
Yes, that's true. There's a lot of people who get so butthurt over certain fan services that come from the actual manga. He's right on that. Though, the one thing I'm kind of, my opinion to that, there's a flip side to that, is that what I believe is that he doesn't know that, yes, I agree with the fan service, but censorship has gotten very worse. Yes. However, Chibi, from my point of view, no one has talked about Bleach, the censorship in Bleach. Like, there are some censorships that happen with, like when it comes to My Dress Up Darling, that was an easy censorship that was done dedicated by for the Japanese, like studio like Cloverworks would have done that. I think that was their point of view. That was like probably an easy fan service, no matter what. Now, the people who I like to complain, oh, thank God, no one wants to see a minor. When you push that's when you bring out negativity. Yes, I get it. In the real world, yeah, that's weird, but that's a drawing. That's a drawing. Now, the flip side to that, to you, Chibi, when Bleach was getting animated, there were some various scenes in Bleach that were completely rehashed and remastered that no one talked about. Bleach was censored. There were even animes and manga stills that were not accepted in 90s anime. I think if you look at this channel called Orbital Bacon, there was a live stream where he showed a panel, an actual manga anime panel from the 90s of a peculiar anime show. I think it was like a ecchi, like it was a fantasy anime show, but it was ecchi, and it was made in the 90s, somewhere like in the mid 1990s, early 2000s, somewhere over there. And that one, there was a scene where it was booby shot and titty grab, right? But it was a girl on girl in a way. And that scene, because it came from an iconic sort of like a fantasy, anime from the 90s, that was censored too. Nobody animated that unless it was a OVA they would animate. But that was censored too, you know? So that on what he was wrong about is that people talk about fan service is going crazy. Oh, it's this and that. Well, the censorship, or regarding to censorship, like you said, I'm saying, censorship is going crazy and all this and that. Well, censorship has existed before. You know, you never talked about Bleach censorship unless you did. Unless any anime fan out there has talked about the censorship in Bleach, where there were scenes so different from the anime and the manga. There was such differences between the anime and manga. Very few people talked about that. Very few people talked about some of the certain censorships in 90s mangas. That I forgot the name of that anime, but I was watching from Orbital Bacon, because he had 90s cartoons and old school animes that he was broadcasting on YouTube.
Exactly what anime tourists really are. They have effectively invaded the hobby because they don't want it to be what it is. Anime and manga, they want it to be what they want it to be, and that's the end of the line. If it's not, they want it removed. They want it censored, for instance, and they will go out of their way to buzzword you. They'll call you, like, for instance, worse than Hitler or whatever if you dare watch the wrong anime or talk about the wrong manga. So the fact that this article is so disingenuous.
What if I told you this dish was actually healthy? Let's be real, Factor's menu is way healthier than the competition. Their chefs actually...
And it tries to paint anime tourists as these underdogs, these people that are, misunderstood, or they're being mistreated, or, oh, they shouldn't be gatekept. I'm just like, how to expose yourself as an anime tourist, which is shocking, because as I already pointed out at the beginning of the video, the writer of this article is literally someone that was defending fan service. Now, there was points within that article I remember reading when I was making a video on it a month ago that did stand out to me. It showcased that they thought some fan service and all that didn't need to be, there or exist, but it was just their personal opinion at the end of the day. It didn't seem like they were forcing their will on anything. It didn't seem like they were trying to get it effectively removed. They just might not care too much for fan service in certain series, which is fine if that's their personal preference. But the point is this article paints them in such a light to where they do want problematic content removed. They do want content that is, they don't like completely removed from the medium, and I think that is absolutely messed up. And so let's read this article for a second before I go any further, and let's just dissect what they're actually saying here, because it really is just a dumpster fire. Every community that grows eventually forgets what it felt like to be small. Anime used to be a secret handshake, something whispered about in school hallways, traded on burned CDs, and defended against ridicule. It was a culture built by outcasts who found meaning in stories that the mainstream ignored. Honestly, that's very accurate. That's a really good start, because honestly, back in the early 2000s, even the 2010s, I remember, if you talked even about Dragon Ball, you were bullied. People like to rewrite history, revise history. No, if you talked even about Dragon Ball or Pokemon, you were considered an outcast. You were considered a social outcast, a weirdo, and you were potentially bullied, maybe even thrown in a locker. Who really knows? The point is that, yes, even stuff like Dragon Ball, you were considered a weirdo. Naruto too, all that. Like, yeah, straight up. So, it was something that was completely, non-mainstream, very niche, very small. It was a very close-knitted community. Now that the same culture fills stadiums, dominates streaming platforms, and trends across social media daily, but with that success came a strange bitterness. The very people who once begged for anime to be accepted are now the ones resenting how popular it's become. And that is true. Actually, that is very true. You want to know why there's some bitterness? It's like I already outlined at the beginning of the video. You have people that come into the community, instead of integrating, they want to change it. They want to censor it. They want to mold it into what they want and use it as a vessel for propaganda or a vessel for politics or whatever, and I don't like that, and many people that have been in the anime and manga community for a very long time don't like that. And here's the thing. If you're a new fan and you're not like this and you're integrated perfectly within the community, you're completely A-okay. Nobody hates you. But most of the time, a lot of the new fans are the ones that are causing the problem. And that is 100% factual. But there is definitely new fans that come in and peacefully become actual true fans of anime and manga. But yeah, the reason why a lot of people don't like the success of anime and manga is because people are trying to change what makes anime and manga so appealing and popular. They complain that anime isn't what it used to be. True. Very true. I mean, look what Crunchyroll is currently doing to anime in the West. Look what has been happening to a lot of different people now having to censor anime or different things with, like, subtitles and translations, dubs and stuff. Yeah, it isn't what it used to be. It is not. 100%. I've been talking about this subject for years at this point. That the fandom is full of tourists and that newcomers are ruining the community. What they don't realize is that this gatekeeping says more about them than it does about anyone else. Yes. So basically, me and many others that want to protect the hobby and keep anime Japanese, keep anime what it always once was, we're the problem. Not the people that are wanting to censor artists and authors and basically send them death threats or get violently angry if there is any problematic or dark content within fiction that makes them uncomfortable. No, they're not the problem. We are the ones that want to allow creative freedom, people to allow to express themselves within art or writing. We're the problem. We're the problem for gatekeeping or being upset with people coming into the community.
On that hand, he could be. Yeah, he's right. Man. This guy is a veteran. I mean, this guy is a veteran, bro. I don't talk about nothing about anime. I only like when he started it back in 2013. Yes, I go to his channel and I checked out the oldest video, the very first video of Chibi reviews, right? The oldest video on Chibi reviews. I mean, this guy goes way back. This guy goes way back. He goes back a decade. Goes back a decade. Yeah, he's been trying to protect it. Like he said, there's a lot of tourists that trying to invade it, or like they'll come in to an uncharted land. Joey Bissinger had to talk about this. Matter of fact, he was forced. I think Joey Bissinger was pretty much forced to talk about it too, thanks to Chibi Reviews. That he said it like it was like Christopher Columbus, right? When he came to the Americas and met the natives, but planted a flag and claimed that the land is his, even though there's already people living it. Basically like that. That's what they referred to the anime or manga characters, or even in general, pop culture, geek culture, like tourists. Like the tourists first came to Marvel and DC, right? Knowing Banner and I, everything was cool. Marvel DC. But then the tourists came and infiltrated comics due to certain actions and certain messages that they feel like they want to be included in. Now comic books is officially ruined. They enter video games, which it was neutral. But the tourists came in. And who are the tourists that ruined video games in the West? Again, I don't want to bring it out. I'm not want to bring it out, but unfortunately, it has to be true. It has to be said. The woke. No, matter of fact, they're not woke. They're not the true woke people. They're the cult, basically the rainbow cult. Those guys, they infiltrated video games, and they themselves did not know a fraction of anything about video games, including the sexual content and the super violent content that happened in there. Now, and those tourists, they infiltrated that. Video games don't feel the same anymore because tourists infiltrated it. Now we go to manga and anime, and a lot of people have been trying to, bash it, just try to censor it, and all that good stuff. yet hypocritically, and this has been said in the West. Like he said, I think we all people that love anime catch this hypocrisy very much here in the West, was that we tend to show so much violence and very graphic gore and pain, yet we get so afraid of showing a bit of titty in a drawing. Or, a matter of fact, we get so ecstatic and very, how to say this, defensive against sexual content in TV and in live action, even though they ignore actual stuff happening, like cuties or crazy ass books that you read, like Quan Mills. This whole got roaches in her. It's so hypocritical. It's so hypocritical of that, and that's what Chibi was defending. Now the thing is that he's kind of on the one part he's kind of wrong was that, it is bad, the tourism part. Not all tourism is bad, but the fact that TikTokers and new kids who came out of, who are trying to, get the clout on TikTok, and who are tourists, even the parents, or now introduce themselves to anime, who never seen this stuff before in their eyes, that started to infiltrate the culture, infiltrate the community. Yeah, right. That is true. That is true, but not all of it. Not all of it, because it's a good thing. There's parts of tourism that's probably a good thing, that people are curious to see this phenomenon that has been around for a very long time. It's a very long time. I don't think all tourists are bad, but it's just the ones of his behalf that I support highly, is those who try to push in the narrative. Anime is basically cartoons, just more free thinking.
The word tourist in anime world doesn't mean someone traveled to Japan or visiting anime landmarks. It's a new kind of label, one meant to draw a line between real fans and fake ones. True, that is actually true. An anime tourist is someone who only watches what's trending. That is true and not true at the same time. I will comment on that in a second. The meme-fueled algorithm boost titles like Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, Demon Slayer, and Attack on Titan. They follow hype circles instead of studio lineups, scroll through edits instead of reading manga, and often disappear as quickly as they arrive. Some jumped in during the pandemic boom, when anime became more accessible than ever. Others treat the fandom like a fashion statement, an aesthetic to match their playlist and social media feeds. To veteran fans, these people feel like intruders, tourists in a land they never helped build. So there is some accuracies and inaccuracies to this, and it's kind of very disingenuous to try to paint tourists as like individuals that are very harmless, because I've already kind of touched upon this already multiple times within this video. But yes, there is definitely a link between anime tourists, people that want to change the culture, and people that jump on the new meme-fueled algorithm or a farming series. JJK, Demon Slayer, and Attack on Titan, and Chainsaw Man are very good examples of this.
That part too is also a true one. I am surprised that not many tourists have recognized Fate. Not many tourists recognize the Fate franchise. Only a very few tourists that recognize Fate, because most of it is all just explosions and aura farming, hype, fights, Hadouken. Okay, that's me. My bad. Anyways, but like I said, like he said, yeah, most of these art, the people that are introduced, or that usually are introduced to, like Shonen Jump stuff, very Shonen Jump stuff. They're not really introduced to those who are outside of Shonen Jump, like My Dress Up Darling, or Apothecary Diaries, or those are much more niche, like the Bakemonogatari series, or High School DxD. I watched a bit of High School DxD at my time. I remember that. But even so, but outside of that, it's true. There are some people who watch anime, who think they watch anime because they solely watch it from TikTok. They solely watch it from TikTok because aura farming and hype moments. They don't know the pain, the struggle, the the time, the work they have to do just to animate all of those frames, just to put all of those special effects in that anime and to make it your Brazilian drift funk hype moments in TikTok, on YouTube, on all of social media. And and guys like RDC from RDC World, Mark, he said it himself too, that the reason why he doesn't feel very positive about anime anymore is because everybody is having like this TikTok syndrome that want to see more explosions and fights. But why is it so long? Where's the hype? Where's this? Give me that hype, that kind of shit. And that shit that's why that loses all touch of what anime is. Storytelling, worldview. Yes, hype moments, but also emotions, backstory to it. Even though I'm not a fan of backstories, but yet again, that is very important to anime. That's what he's right about. And it's inaccurate that a bit of it is, that it's all about the same old Shonen Jump hype moments and all that good stuff. No, that's not the case necessarily, because there are other stuff talking about it. I think he's going to talk about it.
Now, I'm going to be honest here. I am a fan of all of these series. I like these series. And there is nothing wrong with people that enjoy these series, love these series, want to talk about these series. Hell, it's nothing wrong if this is one of your first anime you've ever watched. The fundamental problem here is that there is a link with people that jump on these series, talk about these series, and fundamentally want to change anything that kind of veers off from what these anime are. And what I'm getting at is like, the anime tourists, they're individuals that will buzzword you, call you Hitler or something, or they'll call you a weirdo, they'll call you a PDF, whatever, if you watch the wrong anime. If you dive a little bit deeper below the water of anime and manga culture, if you watch something that's just, let's say, a regular high school anime with some romance and stuff and some ecchi content, they will deem you a weirdo, and they will literally chastise you and say, this shouldn't exist, this is why anime is weird, or why people think anime is weird, and they would want this entire form of media sanitized, completely removed the very essence of what anime and manga has been for decades upon decades. And so yes, there is a core link with those that really watch these series and want that done, but not everybody is like that. But like I said, there is a good chunk, there is a statistic, large chunk that is like that. Anyways, the other thing is hype circles, edits, reading edits instead of reading the manga. This is extremely true. I've touched upon this before, but a lot of people that get into the next type anime, they get it through maybe edits like on TikTok or YouTube Shorts or even on Twitter or something. They'll see an edit of like maybe a character doing something cool with some weird music that doesn't really fit, but people say it fits for whatever reason, and they get their entire information of the anime through an edit, and they feel like they're completely knowledgeable, not just on the anime, but anime and manga culture itself. And so yes, there is definitely another link with anime tourists that go out of their way to just strictly watch edits or read manga chapters or watch episodes through edits on TikTok or something instead of actually sitting down and watching the show, because it showcases that they are not getting the full experience of what the anime is, and when they act like they're very knowledgeable on the topic when they're clearly not at all. So yes, definitely a correlation there. Another one, treating, anime as a fashion statement or aesthetic to match their playlist and social media feeds. This one is very vague, but one thing in particular that stands out to me that is related to this is those that, let's say, they'll cosplay a series, they'll cosplay a character. Let's say Marin from My Dress Up Darling, okay? They'll cosplay Marin, and then they'll turn around and they'll call someone a PDF for even posting, like, a fan service scene of My Dress Up Darling. But they're the same person that did a cosplay of My Dress Up Darling. And it's like,
why don't you download top?
What? Like, you get my point. It's very hypocritical, so to speak. But then, on top of that, you have individuals that will look at anime as the next big thing. And so they'll call their cartoon, their glorified cartoon that is made in the West, and they'll label it as an anime, because obviously the title anime sells a lot better nowadays than titling something like a cartoon.
Yeah, that part too. I mean, when Duolingo brought out that trailer in YouTube, if you watch that official trailer of Duolingo, that was true. They try to call it an anime, although it was never near an anime. It was not even an anime at its single point at all. Duolingo, right here, they try to do an act. They call it an anime. The final test mark, Duolingo anime episode 1. This animation is not even a close anime. This is somewhat an anime inspired cartoon. That's all. That's an anime inspired cartoon. That's all. Not even anime at its single point. It's just taking the elements of anime. It's not even anime at all, man. Trust me.
You get my point. It's very hypocritical.
Right? It's like you said, it's hypocritical. It's also hypocritical that I've been hearing stories of. I think Cheaper Reviews also said himself was that you got even OnlyFans try to cosplay, or whenever they do like an anime cosplay, you always start off with characters like Ria's Gremory from High School DxD. They talk about that. Oh, I don't really mind on that certain part because it just proves their hypocrisy too. They think they call us guys as horn dogs and perverts. Well, they're doing horn dog pervert shit themselves. So they let that happen. But at the same time, those same people would bring out such hypocrisy. You cosplay as Myron Kitagawa from My Dress Up Darling and OnlyFans, only to chastise, only to talk shit, only to bitch and complain about how there's fan service already animated in My Dress Up Darling, and you get upset about it. You people get upset about it. But you liked this show, didn't you? You cosplayed that show, didn't you, bitch? Huh? You did it on your profile picture on X, and we can see that. And people liked it. People liked your account. People liked Misa Amane. People liked Ryuka Matoi. Everybody on OnlyFans loved you doing shit, right? But you get mad. But yeah, you OnlyFans girls got mad to seeing actual animated fan service or even hentai anime parodies at this point. It's funny.
You get my point. It's very hypocritical, so to speak. But then, on top of that, you have individuals that will look at anime as the next big thing. And so they'll call their cartoon, their glorified cartoon that is made in the West, and they'll label it as an anime, because obviously the title anime sells a lot better nowadays than titling something like a cartoon. Because if you title it a cartoon, people usually have a stigma with that as, oh, it's for kids. When you look at something like an anime, and it's considered nowadays like something for adults or kids. Now, obviously, not all cartoons are for kids. Obviously, you got like Rick and Morty, for instance, Family Guy, and stuff like that. But I'm just saying there is a stigma around it, okay, for clarification. So there is a lot of people that like to use anime as like a word to be able to sell their product too. So yes, that's another thing that I don't like companies doing, trying to profit off the boom of anime when they know next to nothing about the culture or why it's even called anime to begin with. The frustration didn't come out of nowhere. For many older fans, anime used to be hard to find and even harder to love publicly. True. They remember late nights waiting for episodes to load, trading bootlegs on blank disc, and getting laughed at for liking cartoons to them. Watching anime wasn't just entertainment, it was identity. And now with anime everywhere, the identity feels diluted. When everyone can claim it, what does it mean to have been here from the start? This is, once again, very disingenuous. Very, very disingenuous conversation right here. As I've already outlined, anyone that really unironically likes anime and likes manga and are calling people tourists, they're not calling actual anime fans tourists. We're not upset there is people watching anime. We're not upset there is new fans coming in to anime and manga. We're upset that there is new anime fans coming into the manga that want to change their culture. This is very disingenuous. There is nobody that's upset because there's more people liking a show, because we want to talk about the show. We want to analyze the show. We want to debate the show. show. But a lot of times when it comes to anything getting popularity, it leads to toxicity, where the community spirals out of control and you have bad actors infiltrate the community and want to change the community from within. And so that is more or less what it means and why people are upset when something gets bigger. It's not because we're upset because there's more people that like it. We've been here from the start. No. There might be some that feel that way, but I feel like that's a very small percentage. I'm just going to be completely honest. But this defensiveness has curdled into elitism. Social media has become flooded with fans who dismiss newcomers as tourists, shallow, clout-chasing viewers who only care about what's cool that season. Kind of true, actually. It's a little bit true. There's a lot of people that only care about maybe the aura moments and they don't give a crap about anything else, and they go out of their way to crap on anything else that is anime. They'll call you a weirdo or whatever. Once again, going back to what I've already talked about, not going to repeat myself. It's a sentiment wrapped in superiority. If you only watch what's popular, you're not a real fan. That is completely untrue. As I've already outlined, there's nothing wrong with you going out of your way, watching JJK, Chainsaw Man, Demon Slayer, whatever. It doesn't matter. If you want to watch only those shows, that's completely fine. But when you go out of that corner and then you start to demand anime to censor and change itself, when you only watch those shows and you're new as well, I'm not having it. Yeah, you're a tourist. You are a stinky tourist that needs to get out of the anime and manga community. But if you're someone that only watches that and you just keep to yourself, you're not going to judge people for what they watch, you're not going to try to censor other content that you never associated with, you're completely okay. Completely fine. So, once again, very disingenuous, by the way. This article, man, how to expose yourself as a freaking tourist. Some go further calling others fake weebs or treating those who dislike certain tropes like lollies or over-sexualized characters as moral outsiders, which is... Yeah, that is actually true. You want to know why? Because the people that, are going out of their way to call them fake weebs or whatever is because the people that are upset with, let's say, something like lollies or over-sexualized characters, fan service or whatever, is because typically they don't just stop at like, oh, they don't like it. They want it fully gone. And they will advocate for violent threats against you if you even dare watch an anime or read a manga that has these type of themes. So yeah, you're not a real fan most of the time if you're against it because you expose yourself very quickly that you want to change anime and manga. You want to censor it. So, yeah, there definitely is a connect there. Yeah, this is actually spot on right here.
Yeah, here. Yeah, on that behalf, like, I don't associate with various more effed up parts of it. Maybe I'm a hypocrite, but I want to speak about myself on the certain issues or the certain interests I have on anime. I'm a certified gooner, so that's on me. That's all I can say. That's all you can know about me on that part. I won't speak about not much about it at all, but at least I don't go too deep into that rabbit hole because that will destroy you. However, the other part is that there are, like you said, the fan service, some of the certain tropes, like for example, I'll give you the show Heavenly Delusion, right? There were certain scenes that had fan service. This show is sci-fi. This show is a sci-fi anime that I watched on back in 2022. I think they had it on the first season, and there were some moments where there was a lot of fan service. Where, for example, I think some of the main characters that took the body of her dead sister, and then there were certain shots that were seen. Hot. Yeah. Hey, if you're gonna arrest me, come after me and arrest me. Go fuck you. Or go fuck you, alright? But there were some scenes that were very obscene, and there were some moments where they were very dark. And people get very mad. And the crazy part is that this anime, Heavenly Delusion, was in Disney Plus in Japan. Here in the United States, we have Hulu. So Disney merged with Hulu at the time. So therefore, that anime was in Hulu, especially with Black Rock Shooter, which at one point, I don't know if I can remember this, but Black Rock Shooter at one time had an episode where it did had a bit of a fan service like episode, but it was a bit negative version of a fan service episode that I could remember watching until I guess they closed it down and started censoring. That part I captured. Another part was I think was Summertime Rendering, where there were scenes that many people backfired against because of the fact that it wasn't sponsored. Summertime Render wasn't even sponsored at all in Disney Plus. Then it was that. But back to this. What they all had in common is these kinds of tropes. Certain tropes that many people who are interested don't like watching. Hey, listen, if you don't want to watch, I understand there are things that where they need to be kept at a level to say, hey, okay, stop. Let me take it down a notch because that's too much. I understand that. Now, the thing is that this is the culture out of Japan. This is not made in the United States. It's made in Japan. You don't like that? Watch something else. Period. Like GB said, watch something else. If I am in an anime, right? If I watch an anime like Makenki, which is a true ecchi, it's an ecchi, then I would understand. But at the same time, I would like to watch it too. If that's something that is just too much, this fan service has getting too unnecessary on the other hand, then I won't dare to watch it. Same thing with other animes like Date A Live. There is a fan service, Date A Live. If that uncomforts me, I'm not going to watch it. What about Fate? Not the only peculiar Fate. The Fate Cali Prisoner is my alien one. If I don't want to get arrested by the FBI, I would probably not watch it. Even though it's on Hulu. It's on Hulu. So, come on, bro. Chainsaw Man. Hilariously enough, Chainsaw Man has fan service. None of these niggas even talked about it. None of the niggas talking about it. None of them. And yet, they go crazy over High School DxD. I'd be surprised if they ever see a bit of Nukatashi, man. You have no idea. But that shows hypocrisy, like Ichibi Review says. There's that shows that the fan service is too much, is too sensitive over them. Even though in America, United States of America, they show some crazy, insane, unfiltered, outrageous shit that I don't think it should be even allowed. And the way they present it at the same time, that completely turns off. That could turn off everybody. They still show it. I could compare this right now with Jenny Tartakovsky's Fix on Netflix and Studio Passion's Nukatashi the animation, and shows just how unhinged these two animations are. And shows to some. But one stands out than the other. Though again, there are times where that are need to be settled down. Though I will not censor it. But morally speaking, calm it down.
What was once a haven for weird, passionate fans has started to mirror the judgmental mainstream it once rebelled against. And yeah, I wonder why. The danger of this mindset isn't just that it's cruel, it's that it's hypocritical. Every fan starts somewhere, and most of these somewheres are mainstream. Once again, nothing wrong with watching mainstream shows. I started with Dragon Ball, and I feel like a lot of people probably started with some pretty mainstream stuff. There's nothing wrong with starting with mainstream stuff at all. The problem is, as I've already outlined like 5 times now, the same people who now mock anime tourists once began with gateway hits like Naruto, Bleach, or Death Note. The only difference between them and the so-called tourists is that they have the time and interest to keep going. Shaming others for not being as deep into the fandom doesn't make someone more authentic, it makes them forgetful. The kind of elitism grows from nostalgia. Many older fans look back on these early days with rose-colored glasses. When the community was smaller, the shows felt grittier, and the passion felt purer. But that purity came from limitation. Anime wasn't hard to find because it was better back then. It was hard to find because it was inaccessible. Being an anime fan used to mean being willing to dig, to import, to pirate, because the industry barely acknowledged you. What fans miss is equality. It's exclusivity. There is some accuracies here and inaccuracies here. I think one of the big things here is that because of how hard anime was to access, it made people that were able to access anime appreciate it a lot more, because when you sat up and you were trying to find a new manga or anime to watch, typically you wouldn't get it the same day. Nowadays, anime and manga is fundamentally different. If there is a new manga in Japan, typically you're going to have that new chapter or whatever come out as well in the other places around the world at the exact same time or maybe a day later. Same can be said for anime episodes. But in the past, back in the early 2010s, 2000s, and way before that as well, if you wanted to watch an anime upon release, there was no other way besides waiting for maybe some form of fan translation that might take weeks, maybe even months. It really just depends. Like, you find a new manga, there was many times you would probably read maybe 3 or 5 chapters, find out that the next 15 or 30 chapters are not translated, and then the rest of the chapters are translated by a completely different fan translation group. That was a very common thing. And because of how hard it was to find anime and manga to, like, read or watch things, it caused people to have more appreciation for their shows, caused them to get more involved in the culture, to research things, to know about things, to involve themselves into wanting to know when certain things come out, instead of jumping on the next main thing, or just clout chasing, or reading through TikTok edits, or watching through TikTok edits. It caused people to really try to participate and stay engaged with everything continuously, and I don't think it's necessarily exclusivity that's what people miss here. It's that there definitely was a lot more passion when it came to finding things. And there's nothing wrong with the new age of being able to easily access stuff. I think it's nice to be able to just instantly be able to read or watch something when you want. But yes, I do think in the past there was definitely more passion behind certain fan groups because how hard it was to find certain things to watch or read. And that nostalgia often comes with jealousy. Fans who built their identity around being outsiders now see younger people enjoying anime freely and feel pushed aside. It's a toy, mine mentality. The urge to hold tighter the moment someone else wants to play, but the reaction betrays the community's original purpose. The dream was always to make anime accepted, to make it accessible to let others see its beauty. That dream came true, and some people don't know how to handle that. There's a key difference between being an experienced fan and being an elitist. The experienced fan uses their time in the fandom to share knowledge, recommendation, older series, explaining the artistry, helping others dive deeper. The elitists use their experience as a weapon, belittling newcomers, scoffing at trends, and treating fandoms as a hierarchy. The first keeps anime alive, the second keeps it locked away. The truth is that anime tourism is a symptom of success, not decline. The fact that people who never would have touched anime a decade ago now call themselves fans is a victory. It means anime has crossed borders, languages, and generations. The tourists who have come for the hype might not stay for long haul, but some will. And those who do will carry the culture forward the same way the early fans once did. The community doesn't need fewer anime tourists, it needs better role models. Instead of sneering at newcomers for not knowing enough, fans should help them find what makes the medium special. The more people who care about anime, even casually, the more support its creators and studios get, and the more studios can be told, more stories that can be told.
I think the role model they had was Cheapy Reviews and the Anime Man. The Anime Man. Joey Bissinger, the Anime Man. And Monte Sensei. And for those for the more mainstream anime, RDC World.
Gatekeeping doesn't protect anime, it isolates it. Anime tourism isn't killing the culture, elitism is. Every fan who joins because of a meme or a viral scene is proof that anime still resonates with people, and it still captures imagination and emotion the way it always has. To turn those people away is to forget the anime community's own history. We were all tourists once. The goal was never to keep the anime secret, it was to see how far it could go. Once again, very disingenuous, extremely disingenuous, these last few paragraphs. Once again, I've already talked about why this is disingenuous with what an actual anime tourist is. The way they try to paint this is that everybody that's a new fan is a tourist, when that is not the case. It's just the majority that are new fans are anime tourists, which is also true. But not all of them are. But about maybe 85% of them are. And I think, in general, this article really is not a good look.
Not all anime tourists are the problem, but most anime tourists are the problem, because there are anime tourists that are willing to be open to many different genres. That's how you say it.
Especially for those that, the same person that wrote that fan service article. It is an absolute disaster piece. And I'm just like, how? How could they have wrote such a good article,
That's
literally
the most whitest thing I've ever heard.
But then turn around and do something like this? It's bad, man. I'm going to leave it at that, though. Tell me your honest thoughts, how you felt about this article, how you feel about anime tourism. Do you think it is the problem, or do you think elitism is? Do you think...
I think, without a doubt, I've already said it before, I think the tourism thing is a problem, but it's not at the whole tourism part, because there are tourists out there that are curious of various things, because curious of opening their worldview. It takes time. The tourists. I think the tourists right now are gonna probably be the same people that are as the original veteran anime fans who complain that the new kids are taking over and putting their agenda or their judgment words, and they're gonna get mad. It's gonna be fun. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny because they're gonna say the same thing. That's the funny thing, right? But at the same time, it's like it is kind of up to a point where it is kind of wrong. Now, again, I'm more kind of casual on the medium. I have been watching various animes that are not shown in Jump. Not shown in Jump. Although on one hand, on my behalf, I am kind of ignorant because I watch moments, just compilations and certain clips and certain episodes that outside of the anime-esque action series that I usually watch, that proves to me that I don't know really much anime. I think if you got that part on my behalf, I'm held accountable for it. Now, like I said again before, Chibi probably did not know that there was censorship already before that. And if you look at Soul Eater, the original Shonen Jump like animes and mangas, Soul Eater, that a 90s anime I talked about from Orbital Bacon, Bleach, and so others, right? That were animated and were shown on TV. They were censored in the anime adaptation. The manga that were uncensored, they showed shots. There were shots there that were uncensored that nobody talked about. Nobody talked about. I'll give you an example. Like there was in Bleach in the manga, there was a panel where Hideyori was going after Aizen, and Aizen just cut her in half, and you see all the bloody body parts. Very graphic scene in Bleach. Just ripped in half, just sliced in half slowly in process, frame by frame. But in the anime, she was just stabbed in the back. That's it. That was censorship. That was censorship. There were other censorships too, like Heavenly Delusions that went too far. That's another thing that he has to that he doesn't know, is that there was already censorship before. But on one hand, yes, the push for censorship here in the West has gotten so hypocritical that they would win that. Yet again, there are a lot of people, a lot of these tourists and governments that are willing to censor art style come from another country that is way more, has brought way more like generational attraction around the world than American cartoons, that inevitably has fan service, has sexual themes and sexual thoughts, that on one hand, they brought on the case like underage teenagers doing that kind of stuff. That I understand too, but at the same time, none of them existed. But at the same time too, hypocrisy is that if you look at shows like Zack Snyder's Tower of the God, I think the Gods, something like Wrath of the Gods or something. Yeah, that one was up to a whole level borderline hentai. It was so gory. No, Twilight of the Gods. That's what it is. Twilight of the Gods. But that shit was so gory and so sexual. Nobody batted an eye. South Park had themes as well. It was a long ago sitcom. Now they're just not giving a fuck when they showed the OnlyFans thing. I mean, they were showing all kinds of stuff right there. The same thing with Family Guy. Same thing with the Venture Brothers Metalocalypse on Adult Swim. Very, very mature comedy related cartoons that we grew up in the 2000s. Though there's that it was just pushed in a very wrong way, I think. But yet again, this all fiction. Everything is fiction. Though censorship it is gone too far, and the tourists who only see Shonen Jump and that's just it, who don't know the other context of other things as true veterans. And though I am not completely into it, I'm not far into that abyss, but I have been jumping into it time by time. I'm still casual. I never actually watched 4 episodes. The only last episode I watched is outside of like typical Shonen Jumps, where I think Michiko Hatsukin and the Mononoke. Just recently Mononoke. So that's the other stuff. But anyways, I think I've spoken too much. I think you guys like this. I hope you guys would watch this, like, subscribe to my channel, and we hope we see each other for quite a next time, bro. I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you guys, cherish what we have. That is something we have. That's something that we have in our hands. Deuces.